Types of people. Most of the people in the southern colonies were rich and owned plantations. All the rich plantation owners had hundreds of slaves because the plantation owners were short-handed and needed workers. This led to slave trade. Many slaves were brought from Africa, and slaves were took and brought to America. As there were many rich plantation owners, there were also a lot of small farm owners. These farms were in the backcountry. The backcountry was the areas just beyond the coastal plains further inland. The backcountry was farther from other towns, so children who lived in the small farms rarely went to school or learned how to read or write, unless their parents taught them. Geography and climate. The southern colonies were made up of mostly coastal plains, and the soil was good for farming, and the climate was warm, including hot summers and mild winters. Their growing season was longer than any other region because the soil was fertile and the weather was perfect for farming.
The southern colonies' economy was based on farming, also known as agriculture. Many of the colonists who came to the southern colonies were rich farmers and businessmen from England, and they wanted to become even more wealthy from owning land. The flat land was good for farming, and so the landowners built very large farms called plantations. The crops that were grown were called cash crops because they were harvested for the specific purpose of selling to others. The cash crops of the southern colonies included cotton, tobacco, rice, and indigo, a plant that was used to create blue dye. In Virginia and Maryland, the main cash crop was tobacco. In South Carolina and Georgia, the main cash crop was indigo and rice. The cash crops grown in each colony depended on which group grew best in that colony's type of soil. There were fewer towns and cities in the southern colonies because farming took a lot of land that was spread apart. Connections. The southern colonies had a lot of large plantations and small farms in the region. There was not many towns and cities. Due to the large plantations, they needed more help, so they got slaves to work in the fields. They knew that there were rich soil and the warm weather was perfect for large farms called plantations. Plantations were huge, almost like towns of their own, and required many workers. They had to attend to them all year round. They were also usually along the coastal plains near the ocean or rivers to help with shipping their cash crops to other colonies or countries. Children who lived on plantations often had private teachers who taught them to read and write. Their plantations would not have been successful if there hadn't been so many people working there to get the cash crops harvested.